Okay, good morning, everybody. So I decided I'm not doing nothing today, so I got time to. I'm gonna do two shows today because it showed I'm only 800 away from getting monetized. So I'm gonna try to. I don't know how long. Does anybody know how many days that will take? 800 hours. It should only take me a few shows. I think. I hope. I do a couple a day this week. Yeah, so this week I'll do a couple so I can get monetized. I already got my stuff lined up for the show. I got a lot of shorts I'm doing. I got one cash video, 17 minutes. Um, so yeah, I didn't tell nobody I was going on. I was surprising everybody this morning. So hopefully Kay will be in this morning. Okay, Carol, thanks. Yep, Tim. Oh, hey, Starfire morning. Yep. Did you hear what I was saying? I'll get monetized. I got 800. Do you know how much 800 is? Uh, That should only be a couple of days, shouldn't it? So I want to do a couple shows a day this week. I got a lot of shorts I'm going to do. And I'll be on tonight at 5. I'll probably do 2 hours. Go from 10. I'm going to go 10 to 12. Yeah, I know. Yeah. I just like doing this. And I can't believe finally in my big channel, I should have done it a long time ago when I first started. But since I got another chance at it, I might as well go ahead and get monetized. The super chat and everything. So yeah, hopefully Kay will be all rested up to go 2 shows today. I'll see if I can text her. So that guy from Tennessee won that race in Tennessee last night. Okay, so we. Oh wait, I should go. I'm gonna share this real. I'm gonna share this real quick. We'll get his Telegram logged in here. Chico's laying on the couch.
So
Getting ready to
overnight, we
attack
were able to track down the
Venezuela.
Gerald R. Ford. That's a live look at the Gerald R. Ford. As far as I know, we are the only news organization that is providing a live stream of the
I
Gerald
just
R.
found that guy. I'm
Ford.
glad I just found him.
And we're going to keep an eye on it. Well, evening to you, early morning to me. I've been up for several hours here trying to track down the Ford, and well, we were able to do it, and not only do it, we were able to get a video feed of it. So that is the Gerald R. Ford. So there he is. So we're going to continue to track Ford and track everything else in regards to this. It wasn't until yesterday that the U.S. military had determined that the. You guys can hear me over the music, okay? I think I want to turn it down just a hair. Maybe that's better, right?
So we'll keep an eye on this guy. I'll keep an eye on him, on getting intel from him.
Wealthy Chinese families, meanwhile, are often looking for ways to acquire dollars because China's strict currency controls mean they can't move their yuan abroad. But there's a new solution to both these problems: Chinese underground banking networks. These groups have become the kingpins of global money laundering by using a sophisticated new method which washes billions of illicit funds, often on American soil. It's called a mirror transaction. Imagine a wealthy mother in Shanghai who wants to buy a flat for her son studying in New York. Capital controls mean she can't move more than $50,000 out of the country. So she uses an encrypted messaging service to contact a broker from an underground bank. The mother transfers yuan to a Chinese bank account controlled by the broker. That broker is connected with someone who has dollars they're trying to get rid of. Someone like a member of a drug cartel. The dealer's money is placed in an American account this mother has access to, minus the broker's fee. The flat deposit is secured. The broker then needs to reimburse the dealer in whatever currency they want. If the dealer wants Mexican pesos, the yuan might be used to buy Chinese goods exported to Mexico. Or it could be used to buy chemical precursors to make fentanyl.
This is kind
No
of
money ever crosses
interesting
international
video.
borders.
What do you think?
There's no paper trail connecting the flat purchase and the drug cartel. Much of this is happening on American soil using American banks. Sometimes fake accounts are opened by corrupt bank employees. The dollars in these fraudulent accounts make up a tiny proportion of the money moved by Chinese brokers. America's Treasury estimates Chinese money laundering networks moved $312 billion through American banks between 2020 and 2024. The actual figure is likely much higher.
Or not.
These networks are operating on an unprecedented scale, and that makes them difficult to police. Back in the 1980s, when Colombian cartels ran money laundering networks, authorities were able to shut them down through a combination of extraditions and asset seizures. But police today can't access encrypted messages the way they used to listen in on phone lines. What's more, these vast underground banking networks operate across far more jurisdictions, taking advantage of the gaps between incompatible financial systems. And that means that, for now, brokers around the world will keep on cashing in.
That was pretty good for 2 minutes there. Yeah, listen, I got about 800 hours. I'm on 2 shows this week, so I can get, hopefully by the end of the week, by Friday, I'll be able to, or Sunday, get monetized. I'm on it 2 hours, 10 to 12, then 5 to 7. Okay, one TikTok lady got a bunch more clips out. Oh. We'll do it backwards. This is part 3.
Shapiro says charges will include first-degree murder, with more expected.
I can't remember.
As for Attorney General Pam Bondi, she says
not.
the Justice Department will seek the death penalty. Now, anyone with even a shred of common sense can see who is actually fighting to make this country safer. But according to Jasmine Crockett, she continues to put a nail in her own political coffin with this bizarre statement.
I just want to be clear. This is the party that says that, you know, they care so much about life until life.
Sorry about that, you guys. I remember that. I'll regroup here.
Mexican drug cartel.
Darn it. So I'll clear all this off. This one's a new one, I think. It was yesterday.
Room. Now, before anything even went sideways, he took a full-blown victory lap, strapping a giant Christmas bow on the gift of affordability. Wait until you see what's going to be filling your wallet this holiday season. Meanwhile, Kristi Noem, she embarrassed Tim Walz in front of the world as more Minnesota fraud comes spilling out, proving once again that some politicians are better at chaos than governance. And Pete Hegseth, he went nuclear on the press, roasting their latest drone strike panic on a Venezuelan drug boat. Their narrative is now burnt to a crisp, just like the cartel and their drugs. Too soon? Hit that like button for me. Welcome if you're new, and subscribe, because in Washington right now, chaos isn't optional, it's mandatory. Oh, and by the way, hey, happy Giving Tuesday, my friends. If you're stressing about where to donate today, don't worry. New York City's future mayor, Zohran Mamdani, he's here to help you help him. This is now his 4th video asking for money to fund his transition team. 4th. At this point, it's less a transition and more a full-blown GoFundMe season. Because as it turns out, winning an election by promising free everything is shockingly expensive.
Friends, it's chilly out there. It's chilly in here. But one thing I'm warming up to is the idea of a fully funded transition. So go to transition2025.com, pitch in whatever you can. Let's win a city we can all afford.
Oh, yeah. He is absolutely going to be the gift that keeps on giving. And he just can't seem to figure out why the money isn't pouring in like it did for past administrations. Maybe, and I'm just throwing this out there, it's because he built his entire campaign around people who think donation is something other people do for them. And while Mamdani is basically running a digital tip jar, President Trump is out there making life a little bit cheaper for Americans. In today's cabinet meeting, he reminded everybody that his big, beautiful tax bill kicks in after the first of the year. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, and major tax relief across the board.
Next year is projected to be the largest tax refund season ever. And we're going to be giving back refunds out of the tariffs because we've taken in. And we're going to be given a nice dividend that at some point in the not too distant future, you won't even have in, because the money we're taking in is so great, it's so enormous that you're not going to have income to pay.
So under Trump, money is flowing into your wallet instead of illegal immigrants flowing into the country. See how that works? For 6 straight months now, 0 illegal entries. 0. That's not progress. It is a Christmas miracle. And since the media couldn't bring themselves to clap, the president, he helpfully dragged them right onto the stage and made them part of the act.
They don't talk about it. You'd think they'd say, well, Trump said a great country is being destroyed by the border. But you always find something new, like, is good hell? Biden was great, but is Trump in good health? I sit here, I do 4 news conferences. Intelligent lunatics, you people. I give the right answers. There's never a scandal. There's never a problem. I give you answers that solve your little problems. You go back and you can't find anything, but you do stories about Biden was in wonderful health. The guy didn't do a news conference for 8 months. If I go one day, I had one day where I didn't do a news conference, there's something wrong with the president. You people are crazy. I'll let you know when there's something wrong. There will be someday. That's going to happen to all of us.
How do people not find him funny? So after the media and people like disgraced Governor Tim Walz stirred up that totally fake panic about Trump's health and demanded he release his MRI results, well, the president said, fine, here you go. Clean bill of health. Exactly what everyone with a functioning brain expected. But that didn't stop fake news correspondent Katie Rogers from announcing she did some serious research, real journalism.
Yeah, part one. That was a good clip. Part two. Four minutes.
Development, even the president seems to have a case of the Mondays.
This version of President Trump is somebody who only offers a small sliver of his public life up for Americans to see. Again, yes, the story said between 12 and 5 on average are the times we can expect to see him. The reason we looked into analyzing his public schedules, and by the way, that's just data, that's not editorializing or offering opinions on it. It's scheduling, it's analyzing the raw data, is that we noticed that Mondays were pretty quiet. So we looked into, well, what is that true? And we saw that Mondays are his least active days of the week.
First of all, just because he's not doing a press conference at 6 a.m. doesn't mean he isn't working from sunup to sundown. I mean, funny how they forget to mention the nonstop overseas travel, meeting with foreign leaders, trade deals, national security briefings. And also, we literally know he's on True Social all hours of the night. So unless ghosts are posting for him, this man is very clearly awake. And where was this sudden obsession with presidential schedules during Biden's administration? Trump has already held 9 cabinet meetings this year. Biden held 9 in his entire presidency. And speaking of disasters, Governor Tim Walz is giving us a brand new one. A fresh...
Oh, breaking up there.
Audit finds 1/3 of non-resident commercial driver's license in Minnesota were issued illegally. 1/3. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy has now officially put Minnesota on notice. Fix it in 30 days or kiss $30 million in federal funding goodbye. No pressure, just your entire credibility and a small amount of taxpayer money on the line. So Mr. Jazz Hands, I mean, he's running Minnesota's roads like a toddler running a nuclear plant. Lots of colorful buttons, absolutely no idea what they do, and an explosion is basically inevitable. But why exactly are they handing out CDLs like Halloween candy? Is it for safety? For workforce development? Or so these folks can magically show up at the polls and vote? Just asking the obvious questions out loud. Now, Scott Bessent, he's officially launched an investigation into claims that Minnesota tax dollars were diverted to a Somali terrorist organization. And yes, Kristi Noem today stepping in to make sure someone actually holds these people accountable. Listen to what she had to say.
You told me to look into Minnesota and their fraud on visas and their programs. 50% of them are fraudulent, which means that wacko Governor Walz either is an idiot or he did it on purpose. And I think he's bold, sir. He brought people in there illegally that never should have been in this country, said they were somebody that they're not. They said they were married to somebody who was their brother or somebody else. Fraudulent visa applications, signed up for government programs, took hundreds of billions of dollars from the taxpayers, and we're going to remove them and we're going to get our money back. And we're going to, this next year, make sure that we only put people in leadership positions in this country that love this country and have its back.
That's what happens when the grown-ups are back in charge, handling problems, enforcing rules, and protecting Americans. And what's Timmy's big strategy? He's going to throw a temper tantrum and whine about how mean everyone is being to him.
Look, Donald Trump insulting me is a badge of honor for me, but I think we all know, as both as an educator for a couple decades and as a parent, using that term is just so damaging. It's hurtful. We have fought 3 decades to get this out of our schools. Kids know better than to use it. But look, this is what Donald Trump has done. He's normalized this type of hateful behavior and this type of language.
This is pretty rich coming from the guy who stood on stage and said this.
I'm getting called out on this because I called Donald Trump a wannabe dictator. It's because he is. It's because he is.
Okay, those are 2 good ones. Four minutes.
And help themselves. They didn't go after Trump's endorsement. They were afraid that by having Trump too close, that they might actually alienate people. They forgot that Trump was closer in Virginia and closer in New Jersey than anyone has been in a very long time, that he brought people over. But that was their strategy. It is what it is. Now, the thing that concerns me, though, is that we're in the middle of this government shutdown. Now, we now have proof. We have proof that in the Senate that Chuck Schumer forbade anyone to have a vote on ending the shutdown until after the elections. They knew that they needed that distraction. They knew that they needed that to be able to harp on and say, Trump wants you to starve, and this is what's going on because Trump doesn't care about regular people. Now, this is absolutely a crock of crap, and you guys know this to be the case, but we're not getting the truth from either side, okay? We're not getting the truth about why this shutdown is actually taking place. I mean, of course, the Republicans have said, well, we want to make sure that we're not giving Obamacare to illegals. This is the truth of the matter. The Obamacare bill was written, and it was meant to sunset as far as the subsidies that were put into the bill. Those subsidies went in during the COVID time frame, and obviously with the high cost of healthcare, with the cost of people needing healthcare, they had higher subsidies there. That is now it's supposed to be sunsetting, and the Republicans are saying we're not in COVID anymore. These billions of dollars worth of subsidies, you guys are using that to try to provide care for illegals. And we're not going to do that. Now, mind you, the Democrats were in power. They had the ability to go ahead and pass an extension on these. They chose not to. They could have put up guardrails when it came to Obamacare. They did not. They had all the ability in the world when they had both the presidency and the House and the Senate, and they chose not to do so. And now they want the Republicans to bail them out. It is a poison pill that the Republicans must stay away from, because if they don't, when it all blows up, and it's going to, because we can't afford this bill, when it comes back up, it is going to then be laid at the feet of the Republicans. Let the thing stay shut down. I know it sounds heartless and it sounds cruel, but guess what? We've been through times like this before. We went through the Great Depression as a nation, and guess what? We came out on top afterwards. We were much better off afterwards. We actually ended up creating one of the greatest generations of all time. When you're talking to your friends and you're talking to your family, remind them that any government that has the power to feed you has the power to take your food away. And we're seeing that right now. I hope that young people are watching and listening. When you rely on the government to feed you, you also must remember that they then have the power to starve you as well. That is the problem with socialism. This dance that we're doing trying to maintain socialism light is not going to work. Socialism fails all the time because you are giving people the power to run and ruin your life. Let me know what you guys think about this. I'm excited because my kids are getting it.
Okay, that was a good one. Another one. Six minutes.
And phony baloney rituals. And I'm going to start you where it started for me, watching this movie the night before, and I couldn't help but notice a scene involving Anthony Mackie. Anthony Mackie, who is an NFL player in the movie.
I'm getting paid to be monetized.
Did you die and not tell I was there when you wanted
It was that scene that got me thinking, especially when they said, "What did you die or something?" And then they panned over and paused for a second. And usually when they pause for a second in movies, they're trying to show you symbolism. Symbolism like this G that just happened to be right in that picture frame. When if you don't know anything about the G, well, the Freemasons put it in their symbolism, and they love the number 33 too. We'll get back to that. But I noticed that G, and I noticed how much they emphasized him being an NFL player in the movie. So I started hunting for dead NFL players, and I got to Steve McNair, even though I think he's alive. I just don't know who yet. But I was like, no. And I was like, OJ, but no, the timing doesn't work out, even though they said he was in jail. I was like, no. And then I got to Bengals wide receiver Chris Henry, and well, Anthony Mackie was a wide receiver in that movie, and his name also happened to be Chris. And well, then I did what I do, and I put their faces together and see if they're symmetrical, because if they're not, I toss them away. And well, their faces were pretty darn symmetrical. Eyebrows, eyes, nose, mouth, lips, mustache, and even a little scar right in the exact same place. Now, there's also an exact eye scar in the exact same place. But there's also much, much more. Like when you scroll up, they seem to have, in the exact same relation to the eyebrow, a hole right in their head. If you just scroll on over here as well, you'll notice something right. Nope. Well, right here, looks like there's another hole there. And again, right there in the exact same relation to the eye. Here and here. Do you see them? And well, it always seems like their wives could be a similar fit. Now, they don't look exact, but you could see how one could very easily become the other. I mean, the lips. Now let's quickly circle back to the Freemasons and their love of G and their love of the number 33. You remember this guy's poor, unfortunate accident where he almost lost his life on the football field? Well, it kind of looks like he's doing 33 signs there. Oh, and he's with LeBron. LeBron, who just loves to do the all-seeing eye Illuminati pyramid. Oh, and 33. And maybe you never noticed this, but did you notice how all the players were taking a knee, except for one, just in case your eyes aren't that good? Oh, and this guy, DeMar, giving the 33 symbol, wearing a jacket with a mocking Jesus jacket on. He just happened to be number 3, so it was awfully convenient they could do this.
Coming out to the field, both number 3s, Russell Wilson and Derwin James, wearing the same jersey number as DeMar Hamlin.
Anyway, moving on to our next Freemason ritual. Player death. This is Sean Taylor, who was supposedly killed in an armed robbery at his house. And while you might not be able to wrap your heads around this, but I couldn't help but notice how much he looked like Green Bay Packer, former Dallas Cowboy, Micah Parsons. A lot like him. I mean, a ton like him. Same beard, same chin hair, same mustache, same lips, same nose, same eyes. And it's funny, Micah Parsons on his own Instagram says,
all the sports, right?
Not who you think I am. I wonder what he could mean by that. And I've had a lot of people say, why don't you ever compare their ears? And well, I don't, because most often they will change them. Ears are easy to change. But in this case, I couldn't help but notice something. And usually I go side by side, but the up and down worked a lot better. Everything matches, including even their earrings are pretty similar. And when you go up and down, that's the same ear. I'm no ear expert, but I have good vision. You be the judge. But here, I won't make you judge. Because why judge when you can just know? You don't need to believe things when you can know things. And well, that mark right there looks like a scar, a hole in his face. And man, it sure looks the exact same. In the exact same place in relation to the nose as that one. They're identical. But of course, I don't really believe all this, that the NFL is run by the Freemasons and used as a distraction. So you are so involved in football and drinking and gambling that you don't take time to research the important things or figure out who you are and where you are. No, I definitely don't think the NFL players are paid so much because it is their distraction from you figuring out you're not an evolved ape spinning on a planet in endless space. There's a firmament above you, people. Entertainment only. I don't really think DeMar's actually flashing any Freemason.
Hey, that's our image guy. I got a new 3-minute one about revolution. See what this lady says.
Out or heavily restricted in Russia, Hungary, Turkey, Pakistan, Poland, the Philippines, and a half dozen other countries? The answer is simple, and it's hiding in plain sight. George Soros has probably been one of the CIA's most valuable private assets for over 40 years. He's the civilian deniable billion-dollar funding arm of American regime change operations worldwide. That's why no attorney general, no Congress, and no president has ever seriously moved to shut him down here. He's not just allowed in America, he's protected. This is why both George and Alex are so arrogant. If you've seen my video on color revolutions, you already know the script. Soros bankrolled this prototype in Serbia in 2000, refined it in Georgia in 2003, Ukraine in 2004, and the Arab Spring in 2011. The same USAID, NED, and Open Society Foundation's logos appear in every single one. The Arab Spring was the trial run for Europe's migrant crisis. In 2011, the CIA and Soros turned that playbook on Libya and Syria. Gaddafi warned the West in March of 2011 that if you take him out, millions would flood Europe from Africa. 8 months later, he was dead, and Libya was chaos, and the migrant waves began exactly as he had predicted. By 2015-2016, battle-hardened jihadists and economic migrants were streaming across the Mediterranean with iPhones, prepaid cards, and Twitter guides written in Arabic. The same social media mobilization tactics used in Kyiv and Tahrir Square. Wayne Madsen called it straight in 2015. This was a deliberate Soros CIA social engineering operation to fracture Europe from within. Same playbook, new target. And now we have America, 2020 to present. Remember the 2020 summer riots? Soros Open Societies Foundations gave at least $33 million to the groups that organized and sustained them. How about the Southern Border Caravans? Soros-backed NGOs provided the lawyers, the maps, and the logistics. How about defund the police and DAs in every major city? Soros money elected them. They're running the color revolution playbook on us now. Only this time, the target isn't Belgrade or Damascus, it's you. And this is why JFK was right. After the Bay of Pigs betrayal, President Kennedy reportedly told aides he wanted to splinter the CIA into 1,000 pieces and scatter it into the winds. He never got the chance. 62 years later, we're living in the world the CIA built. One where a Hungarian-born billionaire who collapsed the Bank of England can pour unlimited dark money into American elections and street movements, and nobody in power dares touch him. Because he's not a liability, he's their most successful off-the-books contractor.
Oh, Chico,
the only
sorry.
question left, if Hungary, a country of 9 million people, can pass Stop Soros laws and kick his operations out, why can't we? Maybe it's time we finish what JFK started.
That was good. Okay, we got the first cash video. 17 minutes.
Called obstruction of justice.
So these radicals who just stormed a Florida deportation jail, as you just heard, were obstructing justice, which has been on overdrive in the Sunshine State 24 hours a day, with those here illegally being arrested and then brought to the controversial rapid removal hub at Alligator Alcatraz, where in just a few hours they'll be permanently removed from America for breaking America's laws. But as you're about to see, this is something that has activists in this state losing their minds.
Over the span of 4 days, more than 350 people were arrested in the multi-agency operation, including these arrests near a construction site on Fisk Boulevard.
That's right. This Colombian crime ring was sophisticated. Fake uniforms, detailed maps of wealthy neighborhoods, even hidden cameras to track their victims. But little did they know the police was tracking them.
Operation Dirtbag to go after people who have attacked our communities. In just 10 days, we've been able to remove, in partnership with the state of Florida, over 230 of the worst heinous criminals from their streets.
The governor is instead focusing on using just a few people as scapegoats to criminalize an entire population.
No one deserves to not come home from a day of work, from a day of school, from a day of just living their lives. This is not the America we deserve.
They thought they had gotten away with it, but the drone then tracked the group to their meetup spot. Officers moved in, the takedown all caught on camera. All 5 are Colombian nationals in the U.S. illegally.
That's why I didn't want to bother you this morning. I figured you're busy and stuff.
So these recent Florida raids went after convicted criminals, and there are a lot of convicted criminals here. Because although Florida is not a sanctuary state, none of the open borders activists upset about any of this bother mentioning that it's still one of the main entry points for people to get into America without permission. And you've got smugglers making millions traveling up Florida's coast and then dropping off illegal fugitives who attempt to make their way to the country's interior, or don't and decide to hunker down in Florida, working fraudulently in a variety of industries, which, as it turns out, is not a smart thing to do in a law and order state. Because unlike places like Chicago or California, local police here fully cooperate and assist the federal government with catching criminals who are not supposed to be here. And even getting in one's car in Florida is a big mistake, because police are everywhere, on every roadway and at every workplace. And even the smallest interaction with law enforcement could result in one getting deported, which proponents say is a good thing, calling Florida the model for law and order that should be emulated across America to keep it safe. Which brings us to the real reason activists just stormed this deportation jail. They desperately want to prove that something terrible is happening in Florida and that it's wrong, and they want to see 0 people face consequences for illegal criminal behavior. But as this group of screamers and dreamers quickly found out, the only thing wrong happening here is them blocking the roadway and obstructing legal federal law enforcement. Enforcement which needs to happen, as Florida itself is a magnet for criminals and would be their front door if nobody was around to shut it. But speaking of criminals, these activists, they're out there claiming that their neighbors are getting deported in some bizarre attempt to proclaim empathy with fugitives they know nothing about who just entered the country.
No one deserves to not come home from a day of work, from a day of school, from a day of just living their lives. This is not the America we deserve. We deserve freedom, safety, and communities that are protected.
Yeah, this is totally false. If you're in any country illegally, not even America, you've broken the law, and there should be a consequence, because if there's not, that country doesn't have a border. But here's the thing, the 200 plus recently arrested fugitives, these people might have been dressed as civilians, and it may have looked like they were just going to work. And although to these activists, one's attire and outward appearance dictate whether or not ICE should be allowed to arrest them, it turns out these raids focused on convicted criminals with rap sheets. making them so dangerous, nobody would want to live near them if they weren't in the country illegally. There would be no sympathy for these criminals if they were Americans, because I don't see these activists out there protesting at other jails and prisons across the country, holding some of our worst offenders. Speaking of which, when you see somebody who's out there doing landscaping work, well, as it turns out, they might not actually be doing landscaping work.
Florida have broken up a migrant burglary ring. A group of illegal immigrants from Colombia dressed as maintenance workers were caught on a drone camera stealing from high-end houses.
Wow.
So now we know how it's happening.
Hey, good morning, Dana. That's right. This Colombian crime ring was sophisticated. Fake uniforms, detailed maps of wealthy neighborhoods, even hidden cameras to track their victims.
That's
but
terrible.
Little did they know the police was tracking
Look at
them.
this.
Orange County deputies were tipped off, and they were ready with drone cameras to catch them in the act.
That's insane. And these are the individuals who, if activists see them getting arrested, they say, oh, this person, they were just headed to work because they're dressed as a worker. And even though I don't know anything about what's going on here, I'm looking at this and I'm saying that it's wrong. That's what they do. They look at someone's outward appearance and they say they must be innocent. Now, that doesn't make any sense, especially when you don't know that this person has disguised themselves and is out there committing crime, or may actually be working at a job which they're not supposed to have by virtue of their presence in America illegally, when they've got a rap sheet, when they're hiding in plain sight, so to speak, after committing crimes all across the country and possibly even in other countries. That's who Florida deputies were going after. They were going after people who are so dangerous, they do not make the country better at all. Yet for some reason, activists are out there protesting, saying, oh, this is awful, this is terrible, and it needs to stop. No, it doesn't. You need to get criminals off the streets.
You can see two men disguised as landscapers pacing the backyard of this home in Orlando. They walked in with empty bags, but walked out 30 minutes later with thousands in stolen designer handbags and shoes.
That's awful. Terrible.
Like the first time when I come to my house, when I saw the window break and my door open, and I feel like my heart jumped outside.
It was this hidden trail camera that helped them learn.
So they're using cameras to stake out homes that are owned by people. These are people who are in the country legally. These are people who are making our country better. Look, she's got a business. You see the company logo right there. These are people that improve America and offer jobs and positions legally. This is the American dream, and it's being plundered by people who were let into the country without permission. This is not a good thing. This defeats the idea that bringing people into the country without checking to see who they are is a good thing for America. It's not. This is wild. All the shirts say they've kidnapped my neighbor. And they've got pictures of people who are criminals, and they're trying to defend those folks without knowing anything about them or while putting forth a twisted narrative. Right, they have a protest location too. They don't even have to be here.
Why are you being arrested?
I'm being arrested.
9 minutes.
Peacefully protesting.
Look,
the horrible
we got,
treatment.
horrible treatment. Where's your evidence of that?
Obstruction of justice.
These people are being treated horribly. They're human.
Right. So look, if a human being commits a crime, they need to get arrested. These folks just don't understand that. They want to see people commit immigration crimes and just be let off the hook. And what's fascinating about this is the Department of Homeland Security has all kinds of information on who they're out there arresting. They're doing constant press conferences. They've got footage of who these people are. They've got their rap sheets. And you know what? None of these individuals are out there even bothering to agree with the idea that if somebody's dangerous, they shouldn't be allowed to roam the streets. No, they say that if ICE arrests somebody, something wrong has obviously happened because ICE did it and Trump did it. And they really want to believe that every single person who's here illegally has done nothing wrong, even if they've committed other crimes on top of entering the country without permission.
Help them learn her patterns. Investigators say the suspects spent weeks watching the home, even dribbling a basketball in the neighborhood to blend in. Now, the suspects are on video crawling out of the home and then jumping into getaway cars. They thought they had gotten away with it, but the drone then tracked the group to their meetup spot. Officers moved in, the takedown all caught on camera.
So when activists see something like this, they see somebody getting arrested and they say, oh, this is profiling. Oh, it's just a normal person going about their day. What they don't want to believe is that you've got folks who came into the country without permission and came here specifically to commit crime, came here specifically to run a criminal operation, which in this case is home invasions, which is obviously going to be more profitable in wealthy neighborhoods in America than it might be anywhere else in the world. This is criminal opportunism. That's all we're looking at here. But now the question is, how are these criminals getting into the United States? How do they get into coastal regions like Florida and California? And what is the federal government doing now that's different to crack down on their movements throughout the country?
Here is a video from agents interdicting a smuggling vessel carrying 17 Dominican nationals off the coast in Puerto Rico. Take a look.
Wow. This is how people are
saying in the Caribbean
sneaking into the country,
despite the increased military presence, some of those smuggling boats still getting through, but their agents able to make a successful interdiction. But as you saw there in your video,
this is despite all of the naval operations going on in the exact same area. This video was posted just a couple of days ago. And it turns out that if these boats get through, they travel up the coast of Florida, where people are then dropped off and then helped into unmarked discreet vans, moving vans in some cases, where they are then transported to other parts of the country. So stopping the boats when they're off the coast, that's part of this. But there's a new plan that apparently was just either leaked or discovered. Apparently it's been happening for a while, but a big story came out about how these smugglers are actually being tracked with license plate readers all throughout the country. And guess who's upset by that?
We're definitely opening some eyes, if you will. The Associated Press reporting the agency is quietly tracking drivers across the country to flag and detain those whose patterns are considered somewhat suspicious. So the question is, how does it work? A network of cameras captures and records license plate information, while an algorithm flags vehicles as suspicious based on, where they came from, where they're heading, and the route that they took as well. Now, federal
people are upset by this because, the law abiding, they might have their license plate read, but that's not what's going on here. Smugglers have to enter the country at very specific places. And if there's a vehicle that gets picked up in one of those places and then starts driving out, it's very easy to tell who's the smuggler and who's not. And that's how they're catching people. They're looking at vehicles with suspicious traffic patterns. For example, if you see a car, 2 a.m. in the morning, it's overcrowded, there's tons of people there. What is that vehicle doing? Same thing in Florida. You see a whole bunch of vans that drive over to the water's edge and then drive away and all start heading towards sanctuary cities like Chicago or New York. Obviously, there's something going on there, and those vehicles need to be looked into. We can't have criminals running $1 billion business inside America, breaking our laws, exploiting people and putting them in harm while they do this. This isn't good for anybody. It's not good for the fugitives. It's not good for the people they're bringing into the country illegally. It's all a disaster.
And then notify local law enforcement. Here's the thing. These cameras are often disguised in highway safety equipment. The strategy at the southern border is certainly not new. News Nation actually has embedded with police in Cochise County, that's in Arizona, who say they use it to catch smugglers. Officers then track how long the car has been in a border county. So if it's a rental, for example, it shows up, heads north just hours after arriving. It's flagged as suspicious.
Right. So they know who they're looking for, and they know how to catch these people. It's not like human smuggling is some new thing in America. It's been happening for decades. And again, when these people get pulled over, they might be on their way to work. They might be at work because they're a criminal and they're part of a criminal enterprise, which is working to break America's laws. But it's not what these activists care about. Nope. They want to see these folks released. They say that this is all profiling. They say that this is all wrong, and they're right. It is wrong. It's just wrong because of what the criminals are doing, not because law enforcement is putting a stop to it, making our country safer at the exact same time.
Decade here, what happens is Border Patrol works in tandem with local law enforcement in states like Arizona, in Texas, where we are, and then also even cities towards the northern border. When you start talking about places like Detroit or even Chicago, where you are, Border Patrol working in tandem with local law enforcement. But critics argue that the Border Patrol is violating constitutional rights by using these cameras to monitor drivers, pulling them over based on arbitrary judgments.
What do you mean arbitrary judgments?
It's happening, and it is as massive and invasive as it seems.
The goal here is to outrage regular Americans that something is being done to keep our country safe. Now, look at this, for example. You want to come out and say that, oh, this is invasive, this is wrong. I mean, this is nothing even close to what happens to every single one of us when we go through an airport. But here's the thing these activists don't understand. Their movement, their raids of deportation jails, their constant protesting and agitating, it's all falling flat on its face because people understand what a threat it is to have people in the country who came in without permission in an unknown way. These folks, we don't necessarily know what their goal is. What could someone's goal be if they prefer to enter the country secretly rather than to do it the legal way?
And invasive as it seems, I think the actions that Border Patrol has been, the CBP has been taking to hide this program speak for itself, right? They've worked really hard to keep the program, the way it's deployed, where it's deployed, etc. Very hush hush.
If you have a network of cameras that are designed to catch smugglers who've secretly entered the country and are breaking the law, why would you tell them where those cameras are? Why would you blow the lid off this program and tell people which highways have these cameras? Then they're just going to go around them and the program's not going to work. See, we're supposed to believe that because this is some kind of secret that we should be opposed to that. Now, look, everybody loves transparency, but if the government isn't allowed to use its resources to track down criminals before those criminals know about it, how on earth do we enforce our laws? How do we do that? And how is this any different than people who are surveilled as part of a police investigation into a non-immigration related matter? Those happen all the time across this country. Undercover operations. This stuff is constantly happening in this country. This is how law enforcement works. And we're supposed to have some problem with it because it's ICE that's the law enforcement agency and it's Trump. And therefore it must be wrong. And therefore it must be inhumane. And on top of that, we got these jails in Florida. Oh, Florida's the worst. They're so mean to everybody over there. That's what we're told to think. That's the attitude of these people. They're telling us this every single day. They're blasting it from the rooftops. I don't think it's working. I see them out there getting arrested. To me, this looks kind of silly, especially when these individuals know nothing about the criminals who've broken our laws and harmed our communities in ways they refuse to believe are actually happening. What do you think about that? Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.
Too quiet. Okay, we got the first one out of the way. We don't have to do it tonight. Minute.
Nice. My Detroit players, Tim's for my hooligans in Brooklyn. That's dead right. If they head right, Biggie dead.
What's up, guys? Benny, still one of the funniest trolls in the history of politics. Trump Vance, summer of 2024. Look what you made me do. President Trump launching his own version of the Eras Tour merchandise. Donald Trump on his own Eras Tour. Taylor Swift fans thought this would mean Taylor would sue Trump and she'd destroy him forever. Turns out she just had to sit there and take it and got trolled and then ended up destroying her own career in no small part because she got involved in politics, and you don't have to do that. You just shut up. She endorsed Kamala Harris for absolutely no reason. And what do I mean by absolutely no reason? Well, because polling shows that no one cares. In fact, polling shows that Taylor Swift's endorsement of Kamala Harris hurt Kamala. Look at this. Look at this. Number of people who have made no difference, 81%. That's the vast preponderance of majority. Less likely to support Harris. 13% of people were less likely to support Kamala Harris because Taylor Swift endorsed her. Only 6% were more likely. You should just shut up and sing. You know, it just gets worse and worse because people started trolling Taylor Swift at her own concerts. Look at this. Flying over her concert in Miami. Trump 2024, ready for it? Cat lady, MAGA. This is while Taylor Swift is performing. Her fans obviously burning all of their...
I don't want to be a childless cat lady like her.
I don't want to be a childless cat lady like you, and neither does the rest of America because they all booed Taylor Swift at the Super Bowl. Remember this? What's going on? Say is what she said. What's going on? Well, everyone's booing you. She's never heard that before. Taylor Swift has a new album out. Does anybody care? No, of course they don't. No one cares. It's all over. And this is what happens when you unnecessarily destroy your own career by going political, nobody cares what you think. Like, shut up and sing and dance, and you can't even do those things. So whatever. Taylor can't shake off Eagles get destroyed as Eagles destroy Chiefs. Yeah, great job, dude. You made a smart choice in life. Has anyone noticed that since I said I hate Taylor Swift, she is no longer hot? Says Donald Trump. I mean, he's right? Her new album bombed. So I don't know. I guess she'll have to keep dancing on stage when she's well into her 40s. It's happened before also with other pop stars. Selena Gomez breaking down in tears from one of her many mansions, talking about the deportations. Like, what's the point here?
How many people are getting attacked?
You're an American.
Children.
You're born in America. All my people.
I don't understand. I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something, but I can't. I don't know what to do.
What could she
I'll
do?
try everything.
She try everything. Well, up to time of recording, Selena Gomez has never once opened up her impressive real estate portfolio, which include mansions all over the country. Just look at these beautiful, man. Look at how palatial these places are. Look at this one. Imagine how many criminal aliens you could house there. Goodness, just in the entryway alone, you could fit like 24. Look at that. Selena Gomez, how many different mansions do you need? Oh, no. She doesn't know what to do. So if you are a dumb pop star, don't get involved in politics. I'm not saying that you have to put on a MAGA hat and go support Trump like Sydney Sweeney, but you should. I'm saying that you should just not show all of us how repulsive you are by crying on camera that Mexicans are going back to Mexico, right? This is what happened today. Again, time's a flat circle, repeats itself. Have you ever tried this one? Bye-bye, says the White House. And what they've done is they've posted a TikTok video of a couple of ICE arrests that involve or that are set to a Sabrina Carpenter song. Now, admittedly, I don't know what a Sabrina Carpenter is. Seen some of her photos and some of her like effectively pornographic videos that she makes in order to get attention for herself. So good for you, I guess. The way it's always been. Check in Madonna in the 80s. It's just what you do. If you're a relatively talentless blonde, you just, make softcore porn. And so Sabrina Carpenter has decided that she's very upset at her song being used in this video by the White House. It shows
Tried this one? Have you ever tried this one? Have you ever tried this one?
criminal aliens getting arrested and deported.
Do you need $300, $500, or even $1,000 fast?
Great body cam footage, right? So there it is. Sabrina Carpenter has sounded off on this by saying, "Don't you use my thong. This video is evil and disgusting. Don't you ever involve me or my music to benefit your inhumane agenda," says Sabrina Carpenter. It's what I mean. That. Pay attention to me. Okay. Oh, she's getting a lot of in a world of Sabrina Carpenter's be a Sydney Sweeney. Anyway, I'm not trying to pretend that I'm like really good at this stuff. I'm not. I don't listen to her music. Don't know anything that she's done. But this has done a lot. I mean, this is 19 million views, 95,000 likes, 600,000 likes, 95,000 reposts. So it's gone properly viral. White House responds to Sabrina Carpenter. Here's a short and sweet message for Sabrina. We won't apologize for deporting dangerous, criminal, illegal, murderers, rapists, pedophiles from our country. Anybody who would defend these six monsters must be stupid, or is it slow? Oh my. White House going, flames on Sabrina Carpenter. Calling her slow. This is White House spokeswoman Abigail Jackson sent me a statement. Perfect. Well done. Sabrina, I understand that politics isn't your thing, but there's nothing inhumane about enforcing the country's immigration laws. What's inhumane is about illegal aliens stalked, brutalized, and murdered Laken Riley. If you don't know that name, go Google it. Liberal Women calls a post deporting criminals evil and disgusting. News at 8. Trump White House punching back. There you go. Rihanna, Beyonce, Olivia Rodrigo, now Sabrina Carpenter have all taken stances against Trump and his administration using their music. You do realize you could just shut up, right? Like that your music's available on TikTok. You could just shut up. You know? Don't have to make everything a statement. So you'll be taking the unvetted migrants into your $4.4 million mansion, right? They don't have to be dumped in a small town struggling with limited resources and social services, right? Their exact agenda is getting artists to give a headline, get an even bigger audience. That's exactly right. Yeah, you are bringing a lot of attention. Sabrina Carpenter lost the right to call videos evil and disgusting when she defiled the Catholic Church by promoting sexually explicit acts during one of her music videos, obviously. Is there any artists who are not insufferable? Okay. Ask a 16-year-old if they're horny. Yeesh. Don't even want to watch that. Sabrina Carpenter, Olivia Rodrigo, 2 queens. Obviously, the libs, the libs love this. Whatever an Olivia Rodrigo is, like, who are these people? Morning after pill handed out at Olivia Rodrigo concert in Missouri. Just don't let your kids go to this don't let your kids listen to this kind of garbage. I do listen to country music, so this one made me sad. Zach Bryan crashed out and made an anti-ICE song and then was trolled by the U.S. government mercilessly for villainizing ICE. Then Zach Bryan, again, had a massive crash. Can everybody stop chirping at me? And I got rickrolled by the U.S. government this week. We're having an all-night revival. This was the banger that they did to Zach Bryan's song. Didn't work out well for Zach Bryan. A lot of fans didn't like it. Christy Nome went hardcore against Zach Bryan in our exclusive reporting. Very happy to report this to you. I tagged TMZ, and TMZ listened to me and went ahead and wrote it up. Thanks, TMZ, for the shout out. What up?
2 minutes.
What up? Sabrina Carpenter's net worth is astronomical thanks to summer 2025. Okay. Her net worth is astronomical. How much money did she make? Apparently she's worth now $16 million. Okay. That's a lot of money. You could absolutely fund so many criminal aliens. The tour grossed $33 million. Okay. So there you go. So she makes a lot of money. Look at this, Sabrina Carpenter. She's so upset. She should feel bad for her. She has bags. All these sponsorships. She has ice cream. Okay. There you go. You feel bad. Feel bad for her. She's so upset. She's so angry. She's got her own bottle of Dom. I don't know, man. Why do you get involved in this stuff? You make music. People can use your music. You license it to these platforms. You license it to TikTok, and people put it on their stuff. Like, shut up. Play music. Dribble the ball. Shut up. Everyone is done with you and your opinions on politics. Nobody needs to hear another actress, pop star, or athlete chirp about politics ever again. Okay? You did horrible damage for the Democrat last time around. So maybe keep chirping. I don't know. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section.
Okay, got one video. I got a 4-minute one, and I want to play a 24 and maybe one other video. So I'm going to do 2 hours, so 10 to 12. See how, and X-Tier report from the first day of the month. Anybody? This is another new lady.
Continues.
4 minutes.
Part 7. So if there are infinite versions of you existing across all timelines, are the other versions NPCs? Let's break this open, and I promise you've never heard it explained like this before. And before you roll your eyes and scroll, yes, I have scientific research to back this up. Let's go. First, let's clear this up. There are no
1,000 views
NPC
she had on
versions
this
of you.
video.
There are only less conscious versions, less upgraded versions, earlier software builds of the same soul. You're not competing with them, you're integrating with them. Let me explain. As we talked about in the last part, your oversoul runs all versions of you. The you now, the you that made different choices, parallel timeline you, higher density you, and the final version of you, future you. But here's the twist. Listen to this part carefully. You are the main playable character in the timeline because this is the version of you doing the integrating. The other versions aren't NPCs. They're more like background processes, not fully rendered versions, running in the Oversoul's operating system. And during timeline shifts, you merge with them. Timeline merges are real, and here's the physics. Some of these you may have heard me mention before, but first we have quantum decoherence, which shows that multiple potential states can collapse into one reality. The many worlds theory, which poses that all timelines exist, but your consciousness chooses one by aligning with its frequency. And when your frequency jumps, you shift to the timeline that version of you is already holding that frequency, meaning timeline jumps aren't improving. They're you stepping into a version who already did. This can come in the form of personality shifts, certain memories fade away, new skills appear, your taste or desire suddenly changes, people fall out of your life, synchronicities spike, Mandela effects, nothing has changed. You're merging with a higher timeline self. Okay, so here's where it gets wild. Every major timeline upgrade includes memory convergence, skill integration, emotional clearing, identity stabilization, and probability collapse. This is why sometimes you can feel like, I don't recognize myself anymore, or I swear that never happened, or why do I suddenly know this? Those are signatures of a timeline merge. What many call a quantum leap, the Oversoul calls a version update. And what is future you? Future you is not you later in linear time. Future you is the final form of consciousness inside the simulation. It's the version of you that has already completed the entire arc, already remembered everything, already returned to the Oversoul level. To you now in this body, future you can be a guide, an architect. Future you sends you intuitive nudges, downloads, synchronicities. It's the version of you aligning you with your purpose and pulling you towards your highest self. But you don't become future you, you merge into it. And every timeline shift brings you closer. Every time you heal wounds, every time you clear fears or limiting beliefs, when you activate gifts, when you have fulfilled your mission and mastered the simulation and returned to Oversoul consciousness. In other words, the you who has already won the game. So, no version of you is an NPC. Every version is a fractal of your Oversoul, and you're merging into the highest one every time you upgrade. You, your Oversoul, the architect, is choosing the version of you to step into next. Because you're not becoming someone new, you're remembering who you already are. Okay, I know that was a lot, but if you're picking up what I'm laying down, comment next level, baby. And this series can't go on forever, but if you need a part 8, let me know in the comments because we're gonna let.
So that was a good one. So yep, this is 23. Then I'll do the X2 report.
Eagles to the party at all times, and they have not. And the reason they have not
you
is
guys
because
remember this one?
they're under the control of the nasty people. Until the Great Awakening's over, then they're not in control anymore. And silver's been manipulated for 170 years. Probably 171 now. Can you turn your mic off, please? So I don't hear any background noise. And I'll just keep going.
Okay.
And you'll definitely like what I have to say. So, the United States Geological Survey says,
We haven't played him in a while.
At the rate we're using everything on the planet, everything on that periodic table, all supplies of natural resources, silver will be the first thing to go extinct at the rate we're using it now. Now, there's a reason why they kept 7,000 patents from us, because one, they don't want us to know real science. They don't want us to know. They don't want to help us. And if those came out, and the majority of those are silver dependent, it would run the silver price sky high. And their job is to keep silver as low as a sow's belly till hell freezes over. Those are their words, not mine. Let's move on. So the rate at which they've found resources in the ground peaked in 1995, and they've gone down, 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 down. And it takes 20 years to develop a mine under the conditions we've been under. Now they're going to change, and that could speed up, but it still takes a long time. Every last ETF that is based, that's a silver ETF, every last one of them except for from Sprott, that's out of Vancouver, BC, they are unfunded. They are the billionaires that work for the trillionaires, and they're running a scam. So SLV, they do not have what they need, and there's a short squeeze coming of epic proportions on silver. None of the corporations, this is coming from which is the lowest, one of the lowest cost, probably the lowest cost silver producers in the world. Keith Neumeyer, the CEO of AG, real hard to remember the periodic table of silver. AG is a stock symbol on New York Stock Exchange. First Majestic Mining, which I've talked about multiple times in San Francisco and Vancouver, BC. He said that he's never been able to find out the stockpile that corporations have of silver for their products. Now, silver is the number 2 most uses item on the planet, with over 10,000 uses, and that's without the 7,000 patents. And guess what's number 1? Petroleum, the one thing they control, and they literally shove it down our throat, because there's petroleum products and synthetic products that are actually what they call drugs. They're synthetic petroleum products, and that they do not cure disease. They manage it, help you get sicker here and there. So you need another petroleum product to help fix that, and then that makes you sicker.
10 to 12,
whatever.
5 to 7.
So just the COMEX. Let's just forget about all those guys that need it as soon as there's a short squeeze of epic proportions, which is coming shortly. Just the COMEX needs a 6-month supply. Every ounce that comes out of the ground, not Russia or China, because they don't put theirs on the market. Every other country, it's all for sale everywhere, except for Russia and China. They know what it is. Theirs isn't for sale, but everybody else's is. They need 180 days of worldwide supply just themselves. Take every bit of that for 6 months just to break even. Well, as the price goes up, that's an impossibility. They would need more, and then more, and then more, and then more. And so there's a short squeeze of a shitstorm of epic proportions coming in silver, not gold. So I think you can hear what I'm trying to tell you.
You've got both my dads sitting right next to you, don't you?
Opinion. I've talked to these people that are in this industry firsthand. This is what they said. They're the ones who have looked at the data. The experts have looked at the data. This is what they're saying. This is not my opinion. This is their factual numbers, factual statements that they've made. Nothing I said is my opinion.
Understandable.
I can tell you this much. Nobody hits the bottom. Right now there's only a bottom that will go down to here shortly of it'll only go so low at the moment. And at that bottom, it will become unobtainium. And as it goes up, you'll think, well, I'll just catch it next time it gets down lower and I'll get it. Well, it's going to be in a little bit of a mini short squeeze itself and before it reaches the next level. And silver is going to become unobtainium, a metal you can't get a hold of because they all have to get it. So it's going to change from silver to unobtainium. And talked to 20 years ago about it because I've been telling people for a long time this information and nobody would listen. But now there's a whole lot more people that know exactly what I'm talking about. But not every last one of them heard it from me, that's for sure. But they did get educated on it by somebody. The word is getting out on what's going on. And it's not nobody's saying this about gold. Nobody saying it about gold. They're all saying it about silver, though. That's the leading experts that are in the mining business. All now, if you have a gold mining, there still needs to be X amount of gold taken out.
Is this okay, you guys?
They're pushing their mine, blah blah. But that's to be expected. But if they're neutral, and they're in the mining business, they are valued and the uses, and they're all talking silver, they're not talking gold.
Thank you.
An interesting question, Michael. In the Great Awakening, will there even be a stock market in the way that we know it today?
Not even close. The stock market is now Trump and basically the U.S. Taxpayers and the Treasury, because they are part of all the companies that interfered in the election, broke Executive Order 13848 that was signed on 9/12/2018 that had a 3-year window and expired while Biden was president. No, it didn't. No. Oh, Biden extended it for a year. What do you know? That's because Biden's dead and Trump's running the show. So that law right there says that if you worked with a foreign country or a foreign entity to steal this election, I'm taking all your shit. Just to keep it short, I want to go through all the Nuremberg crap, what the law is really called and all that. People have heard me say it before, and they all interfered. So no, it will not look like it was. It is a manipulated game of. It's not even a casino. It was worse than a casino. It was just extremely manipulated to transfer the wealth from the have-nots to the haves. What did we learn in COVID? Oh my God, the people have lost this much money. And now $3.9 trillion has transferred into the rich people. Go figure. Never heard of that before. There was never going to be a stop to these guys' wealth.
You guys want me to stop this one or keep going? I'll do the X2 report. I still got 15 minutes on this one. No one's texting. Okay, I guess I'll do the X2 report. This was the first. Oh. $20.
Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this episode 3786 AM. Today's date is December 1st, 2025, and the title of the episode is Central Bank Push Bitcoin Down, Gas Prices Fall, the New Economic System is Coming Online. Now, as we wrap up 2025, it's a good time to slow down and reflect on the year. If there's one thing we've all learned is that uncertainty isn't temporary. It's the world we live in now. Waiting for things to go back to normal isn't a plan, it's a gamble. For over a decade, my friends at Noble Gold Investments have helped Americans protect themselves and the people they love by diversifying their wealth with gold and silver. Look, no one knows what 2026 will bring, but one thing's for sure. In an uncertain world, real wealth isn't digital. It's physical, it's lasting, and it's yours. So when you're sitting around the table this holiday season, surrounded by family, remember, the best gift you can give isn't under the tree, it's peace of mind. And that's what Noble Gold delivers, peace of mind, 1 ounce at a time. Before the year ends, take one smart step toward a safer future. Visit x22gold.com and get your free wealth protection kit today. That's x22gold.com. Don't leave your future to chance, or just click the link in the description. And remember, past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals involves risk. Consult your financial advisor before making investment decisions. Let's get right into the economic collapse financial news. Now, the deep state, the corrupt politicians, the private West Central Bank, the World Economic Forum, you could see their biggest fear is Bitcoin right now. Think about what Trump has done and think about why Trump has been pointing them towards Bitcoin. Because, again, Bitcoin is electronic. It can be used to pay off the debt. And it's something the central bankers have never come up against. Now, what we are seeing right now is that, yes, a lot of the big investment firms, they have purchased and they have created ETFs, and it looks like they're using the paper markets like they have used the paper markets for gold to bring the price down. And if you notice, Trump really doesn't mention anything about gold. He mentioned it maybe a little bit here or there, saying audit Fort Knox, but he's not out there every day talking about gold. I do believe what he's doing, he's pointing them to Bitcoin, pointing them to crypto, and having them continually attack and go after cryptocurrency while gold continually moves up. Now, I'm not saying they're not going to attack gold. I mean, if gold gets to 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, yes, I do believe they'll use the paper markets to try to bring it down. But if you notice something with Bitcoin right now, when they brought it down right before Thanksgiving, they threw billions of dollars at it. And they sold off their ETFs, and Bitcoin dropped all the way down to 85,000, just like, or I think it was 83,000. And just like they're doing right now, all of a sudden on Sunday, November 30th, when the markets are closed, all of a sudden Bitcoin started to drop. Now, what people probably don't know about is that on the 28th, which was a shortened period of time because it was Friday after Thanksgiving, we had the big investment firms once again, they started to dump
Okay, I'll go
ETFs.
back.
And it looks like all of a sudden on Sunday, we saw Bitcoin start to move down. But during that time from when it came down the first time until Sunday, Bitcoin started to move back up. It went from 83 to 88 to 91 to 92. So Bitcoin wants to go up, but it looks like the central bankers, the deep state players, they're trying to keep it from going up. And you could see eventually they're going to be running out of ammunition. They built it up over time. But eventually what's going to happen is they won't be able to control it. And it looks like Trump and the Patriots, they're keeping
Well, see.
If by law, but they did get educated on it by somebody, the word is getting out on what's going on. Have come along and saved us from this certain death because these guys have had control of the system for 1,700
I got it
years.
at the 10-minute mark.
And so the stock market won't be remotely close to what it was before. And
I think it was about
there's going to
halfway,
be
wasn't it?
smart contracts that are hooked up to cryptos, and there'll be value in those. And who knows exactly what it's going to look like, but it's not going to be Wall Street 2016, 2015, 2014, 2013. I can tell you that.
Michael, so when you say lean assets to silver, you said it earlier. I literally, as I was talking to you, I literally text my financial advisor and I said, I would like to lean assets to silver. And he said, lean assets to silver, question mark. And I said, oh my God, I didn't expect you to get this at this fast. I mean, it's 10:47 my time. I'm over on the Pacific West, Northwest. But when I talk to him tomorrow, what am I supposed to say?
Well, you're going to say the same thing. He's going to want you not to do it because he works for the house. He works for the casino. He's a dealer that knows exactly how he's supposed to deal your money around and who to. And they say, okay, well, if we're going to put you in silver, we're going to put you in the SLV. That's a failure. No.
Okay, so my sister is so this is a carrot, an egg, or whatever you want to call it. So my sister, she is a
guarantee you, your guy is going to say, number one, why would you want to do that? It's a pet rock. It just sits there, doesn't do nothing. It loses inflation, blah, 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 blah. That's number one, he's correct because it's been rigged. Number two, he's going to say, okay, well, if you have to, we're going to put you in the SLV because he's going to still be in charge of making money when you buy and sell. And number three, you're going to tell him, I don't think you have my best interest at heart. And I think I'm going to take my money and go. And you're going to go find somebody somewhere that, like, I would call up Eric Sprott. They have, because they're in the resource business, resource stocks, they get stupid low and then they go stupid high. I'll give you an example. AG stock after December 15th, 2015, when silver hit the bottom, their stock was below $2, like 280 or 260, whatever. And it went to like $19. Now, in 7 months' time, if you can make, 1,100% on your money, you could do that once every 5 years and beat the shit out of a 401k or some bullshit he wants to put you in. Correct?
I think so.
Yeah. So in the resource business, that's what these things do. And Eric Sprott's an expert at putting people in things that might not necessarily do that much, but then there's ones that do more. That's just one example. I just happen to know those numbers because I was watching it. And then later, when it came back down below $5 at 480, I told my friend, and people heard it right here in the arc. I had him on the phone. I said, remember when I told you to go all in and buy AG? Yeah. And you remember when it got up around $19 and I told you, well, it's going to go down. So it went up 400%, 500% in, like 11-month period of time. And you said, no, yeah. And then now it's back down around $10. So you just lost half his, value at the time. And I told him, you should sell that $50,000 worth of Bank of America and stick it in there and go all in on it. And he didn't. Well, he would have made a crap load of money. He's worth $4 million or $5 million. It doesn't really matter to him that much. It's just a little side bet, but little side thing. But the thing is that he now knows I know what I'm talking about. And I was able to use our conversation with him to have the people in the ARC understand that I also know what I'm talking about. And I told him timing is everything. I told him when to buy, when to back up the truck, and then when to sell. And he was on the other phone. He was on speaker. Everybody in the room could hear it. And this is what resource stocks do. And so what you do is you don't have FOMO, fear of missing out. Oh, I got to get this. I got to buy some today. No, that you know, when you understand that every stock has an average price, and it has high marks and it has low marks. So you draw a line across the bottom of the low marks and across the high marks. You do that on a yearly chart. Then you do it on a monthly chart. Then you do it on a weekly chart, then a daily chart. And it tells you, gives you a picture. Wow, it seems to be close to the bottom, but not quite at the bottom. As it gets close down to the bottom, I'm going to buy some. I'm not going to go all in on it, but I'm going to buy some. But if you wake up one day and it's way below that average, you know, that line of support, and which it did do when I told him to back up the truck, and you couldn't buy any silver. I called up the silver mine, said, "Hey, I want to buy another $10,000 worth of silver," basically, which means $9,999. Otherwise, you got to give the IRS a form. And they said, "Well, let me call the mint and see what I can do." Well, they never called back because they didn't have any. It became unobtainium at that time, and you couldn't get any at that price, even though that's the price they were listing. But that was for the casino dealers, called the stock market, and but stock in a silver company you could buy. And that's why I told my buddy to back up the truck on AG at the time when it was below $5. And then when it got up to 19, I said, "It's oversold. You might want to get out." And he said, "No, I'll just hang on to it." And of course, it came back down, you know, to like 11 when I talked to him. And of course, it went lower than that since. But all these guys heard the conversation I had with him. And so these things do this over and over again. And it's going to be down low here. And next time there's a little mini short squeeze, not the one of epic proportions, that's also still coming. It's going to shoot up to about $35 an ounce.
Wait.
And that's going to be quite a little bit of a ride for people. But again, you're not selling it.
5 minutes.
There's an investment for a period of time. It's not a get rich quick thing. But the next squeeze it's going to have after that is going to make any investment into anything else look like you just made a huge mistake. So good silver companies, and buying silver when you can actually get it. But right now, in the past, I was leaning heavy on physical because there was some laws that were in place that were going to screw everybody. But now that Trump's in charge, they're never going to be able to exercise those bail-in documents that they had signed. And they're not, the swamp isn't in control. And so now physical is good to get, but buying stock in silver companies is now not bad because they were going to be able to take your money. And when you sold it, when it was going to go into a money market account, and since they've made bailouts illegal and they signed the bail-in documents in the 2009 Dodd-Frank Act, they were going to bail in your money. The banks were going to fail and your money's in third position. And as you sell your stock and put it in your money market account, it's now in a bank. And it was underwater because the derivatives, the $1,500 quadrillion worth of derivatives that Warren Buffett said were weapons of mass destruction, were in first position. You're an unsecured creditor. It's not your money that's in their bank. And as soon as you sell your stock, even though you were in a silver company, you made a bunch of money. Doesn't matter. It was going to your money market account first, and they'd take it because everything was going to fail. But that's not going to happen now. It's impossible to happen now because Trump owns the system and they don't own shit. They've been liquidated, as in Gitmo Garden Fertilizer. And there might be a few of them around here and there that are still going to be testified against. And that's where they're also headed. So
how do people keep their money? That's my big question. I mean, my
Yeah.
mom has a good nest egg. So how do people keep their money and keep from losing it at this point?
At this point, I would say a very good financial advisor, because I'm not, would be to call up Eric Sprott, Sprott, S-P-R-O-T-T, Sprott, I don't know if it's investments or whatever, but you put up Eric Sprott, Google him or whatever, and Sprott Mining. They have a division where they take care of, people's money. And they're in the resource sector that has stupid lows and stupid highs. And they can talk to you about all the different options to do, because you're supposed to put some money in things that are, have growth, pay dividends. And some of these mining companies, they're going to be paying dividends pretty soon. They've never done it in the past.
I pushed the wrong button. It was just about over, Paul. It was only about a minute left. So I got a couple 4-minute videos. So I'm going to go till 12. So I got a half hour still. We got most of it. This one's a 2-minute one. Shoot. Oh, what? Buffering. Oh, I guess I can't play that one. Okay, let's play this one here.
Has announced a sweeping overhaul of how it will reallocate funds for housing and the
5
homeless,
minutes.
triggering concerns that it could lead to more people living on the street. The changes involve $3.9 billion in funds previously used to place people in permanent housing. That money will now be shifted to transitional programs with work requirements and for mandatory treatment for addiction or mental illness. For more on what's at stake and the potential impact, I'm joined by Jennifer Ludden of NPR. Good to see you.
Hi there.
Thanks for being here. Let's just start with how big a shift this is from the previous policy and approach, and what's the reasoning behind the change?
It's an enormous shift. This is the main source of homelessness funding. It's used by local programs, thousands of them all across the country. And the reason is the Trump administration has a very different philosophy for how best to tackle homelessness and really what is the root cause, as they put it, of homelessness. They're very clear in their ideas that mental illness, and addiction are the root causes. You see this especially with the rise of street homelessness. Encampments are in so many cities now, and they say that this is a way to address that and help promote self-sufficiency. And it's a major change from what has been for many years.
So give us a sense of who would be impacted here. How many people are we talking about? Where are they in the country? And who do you have to be to qualify for these funds in the first place?
So it's really focused, the change really focuses a lot on chronically homeless people who have been chronically homeless and are now in permanent housing, what's called permanent supportive housing, because it's people who are offered supports.
God dang it. Okay, we got three minutes left on this one.
Their current housing. And
Yeah.
in some cases, they've been there for years.
So how real or reasonable is it to try to impose a work requirement if many of these recipients are disabled in some way or elderly?
So the people who work to house them say it's really unrealistic, that you are talking about those with the greatest need. I mean, to be clear, plenty of homeless people enter homelessness and leave it on their own, right? We are talking about people who've been without housing for a longer period of time. They have more complicating conditions, and it is
Right, Johnson,
harder to live for
welcome. Is
them.
this your first
And
time?
the other thing that advocates
here?
point out is like, okay, the administration wants
Yeah, I
to
got
put them into temporary
2
housing
shows.
situations up to maybe 2
I'm getting
years.
close to getting
And then
monetized. I need 800
the housing market
per hour.
itself is incredibly
So I'm gonna get
unaffordable.
2 shows
Even
this
for
week.
middle income people with full-time jobs, it can be
2
hard to
hours
afford rent.
apiece.
So to expect that for this population could be unrealistic.
So I've seen some estimates that say we're talking about maybe 170,000 people or up to 170,000. Give us a sense of how quickly this could have an impact, and would this impact that many people right away?
I mean, we don't know how many. That's the number that.
Okay, thanks for following me. And my mod's not here right now. Will be this evening at 5. I got a backup channel. This is my main channel. I've got back on everybody, and yeah, just be respectful, and that's all I'm asking. And I do all crazy stuff, sometimes pushing too many buttons, and all that. Right, Paul? Starfire? But yeah, you'll like it. It's been over 5 years. I got over 1 million views.
Advocates say is at risk.
Okay.
But it could happen fast. I mean, people will start having to apply for this funding in January, and there are groups around the country who are already going to start running out of their current funding starting in January. And there's actually a gap here because this was a late notice. It's kind of behind schedule. Some places might lose the funding they have before they even get this, if they are going to get this funding. But the administration has been clear that a lot of places won't get their funding renewed. They want to widen the number of places that are helping homeless people. They want to get new faces at the table. And so it's a big question mark that, what is going to happen to people who are now in housing and may lose it.
I'm sure you've seen in your reporting, there are a lot of people who argue there should be work requirements in place for people to receive these kinds of federal funds. If you have an addiction or you have a mental illness, you should be required to get some kind of treatment for that to receive federal funds. What's the response to that you hear?
So researchers and homeless advocates say that the U.S. tried mandating treatment for many, many, many years, starting in the 80s up until
I'll tell you in a minute when
early
this is
90s
over.
or early 2000s, and it didn't work. People didn't do it. They say forcing treatment on someone just backfires. They need to want that. And also, they say that, look, the whole point of spending this money is to address homelessness and to get people off the street. Permanent housing ends homelessness. If you're focused more on their treatment, that's a different thing. That's Medicaid, that's healthcare. If the goal here is to end homelessness, permanent housing does that. And there is a lot of evidence over years that this model of getting people into housing first and letting them choose treatment does succeed in keeping most people off the streets long term.
A lot more to cover on this. We hope you'll come back and update us as we learn more. Jennifer Ludden of NPR.
Hey, talking about the homeless. Yeah, Kim, I'm getting about 800 hours left, and I want to get got a chance to get monetized. So I'm going to do 2 shows this week. So hopefully by Sunday or sooner, I'll be able to get. Michelle's going to help me hook everything up. If everything goes well, hopefully I'll get an opportunity. But yeah, I got 800 hours, so 10 to 12, and then 5 to 7. Kay had to do a few things. She'll be back tonight. Okay, let's see what this one is. Oh. Yeah, this one's 2 minutes. This is her new one I got. She came out with a new one.
Governor Tim Walz stirred up that totally fake panic about Trump's health and demanded he release his MRI results. So the president said, fine, here you go. Clean bill of health. Exactly what everyone with a functioning brain expected. But that didn't stop fake news correspondent Katie Rogers from announcing she did some serious research, real journalism, and discovered Trump's schedule looks different from his first term. Shocking development. Even the president seems to have a case of the Mondays.
This version of President Trump is somebody who only offers a small sliver of his public life up for Americans to see. Again, yes, the story said between 12 and 5 on average are the times we can expect to see him. The reason we looked into analyzing his public schedules, and by the way, that's just data. That's not editorializing or offering opinions on it. It's scheduling. It's analyzing the raw data. Is that we noticed that Mondays were pretty quiet. So we looked into, well, what, is that true? And we saw that Mondays are his least active days of the week.
First of all, just because he's not doing a press conference at 6 a.m. doesn't mean he isn't working from sunup to sundown. I mean, funny how they forget to mention the nonstop overseas travel, meeting with foreign leaders, trade deals, national security briefings. And also, we literally know he's on True Social all hours of the night. So unless ghosts are posting for him, this man is very clearly awake. And where was his sudden obsession with presidential schedules during Biden's administration? Trump has already held 9 cabinet meetings this year. Biden held 9 in his entire presidency.
Okay, that was a new one today. I got an 11-minute one from Australia talking about the Democrats. So, yeah, we got 25 minutes.
So under Trump, money is flowing into your wallet instead of illegal.
A lot of news coming out every day.
Blitz. But despite some very obvious, straightforward questions, she cannot bring herself to admit that funding the police is a good thing.
Crime is, of course, also was a major issue in the presidential election. And I know there are some old posts. You've been asked about those old posts a number of times. My question for you today is whether more money for cops on the streets in the district you hope to represent would help fight crime. Would you like more money for more cops on the streets in your district?
So those past comments were at a time when I was a private citizen, as an activist and organizer, and now as a Tennessee lawmaker, I represent 40,000 individual opinions and political thought.
So what do you think now? Would more money for cops be good or bad?
I think it depends on what the community wants. And so I've worked with communities, at least my constituents, want to ensure that there is investment in their community for community safety, community protection, mental health services. And that's what I'm hearing from at least my constituents.
All right. And then the CNN anchor just moves on. And this is what she's previously said.
Well, I'm currently involved in a transformative justice seminar. And so it's how to imagine a world without police and what that looks like and what community mechanisms look like, how people can not police themselves, but what, for example, if you experience sexual assault, like, what is the reconciliation process and what does transformative justice look like? Because as we know, like, you can't take those things to court. Like, you know, our legal system is terrible when it comes to retribution. So anyways, all that to say is that, like, I hope all of you, so one, I'll have a podcast on it, and I highly recommend, like, if it's been difficult for all of you to imagine a world without police, please tune in to maybe not this episode, but the next one, because I'll talk about, you know, things I'm learning and growing as an organizer, because I think, especially for those of us, you know, that are young, like, you know, and talking to our parents about what police abolition looks like, that, you know, we can do it, and there is a world.
Yeah, fantasizing about a world without police. This charming, rational woman also claims that she despises the city that she's running to represent in Congress.
I've been heavily involved with the Nashville mayoral race because I hate the city. I hate the bachelorettes. I hate the pedal taverns. I hate country music. I hate all of the things that make Nashville apparently an it city to the rest of the country, but I hate it. Yeah, I'm that girl at the airport that all these bachelorettes are giddy walking out in their two-toned colored Pantone pink shirts, and they walk out and they're like, oh my God, Nashville is so bad. They're so loud.
And does she still hate Nashville?
I want to ask you about it because I'm wondering, do you think it was a mistake to say that?
Once again, I was a private citizen. Nashville is my home. Do I roll my eyes at the bachelorette parties and the pedal taverns that are blocking my access to my house? Yeah, every Nashvilleian does. But this race has always been about something bigger. It's about families across Middle Tennessee that are getting crushed by rising prices, while Washington politicians and billionaires argue about this type of nonsense.
Joining us now is CJ Pearson, RNC Youth Advisory Council co-chair. Yes, the answer is yes, she does still hate Nashville. I can't believe this. I mean, the Democrats really do an exceptional job of finding such unlikable candidates, don't they, CJ? Who also just give terrible interviews. But after Bain, she could at least do what Mamdani is doing now and pretending you're less woke and less crazy than you used to be. But she can't even answer direct questions, CJ.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Gabriella. And at least Zohran Mamdani pretended to love New York despite hating America. This woman can't even love Nashville, which is incredible to see. You know, to sit here on a national platform and say that you hate country music, you hate bachelorettes, everything that makes Nashville, Nashville, but yet somehow strive to be their congresswoman in the United States Congress. Well, I don't think that's going to go over too well with those voters. And so, honestly, I'll make a prediction here. I'm very confident that she will be roundedly defeated, and rightfully so.
Here is what Donald Trump had to say about it.
Thank you, Craig. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
She wants to raise your taxes on top of everything else. But she said two things above all else that bothered me. Number one, she hates Christianity. Number two, she hates country music. How the hell can you elect a person like that?
I mean, CJ, he's right. Donald Trump is right. It's a huge red flag when someone doesn't like country music. I'm in Australia, and I don't think I know anyone who doesn't love the country music coming from America.
No, if even the Aussies like the country music coming from America, if you're gonna live in Nashville and represent the people of Nashville, you've got to love a little bit of Riley Green, Morgan Wallen, and maybe we'll throw in some Cole Swindell there. He's a Georgia boy. And so, you know, it's absolutely goes to show they're running those an authentic candidates that they have, and people who are just brazenly out of touch with actual, you know, the people of this city and that state. And so,
Craig,
again, I hope that the people of Nashville will see through this farce and will see through her George Soros funded campaign. And I think elect a Republican nominee who I think will have a great night tonight.
CJ, let's talk about the fake news. And I know I put you through a lot of crazy left-wing media, and I'm sorry for it, but this is wild. The stories that the media are running with at the moment. The New York Times has been pushing a story claiming that there are signs of fatigue when it comes to Donald Trump. I mean, what a load of BS. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt has blasted the New York Times correspondent, Katie Rogers, for this. And if you want to look at someone struggling with fatigue, let's look at Joe Biden. So, CJ, while this was going on, while the world was watching Joe Biden's sad, obvious decline, the media was covering it up. The media was complicit in the cover-up. And now we have Donald Trump, who was full of energy. He's the most entertaining president, as well as probably the most successful that we've ever seen. And they're running stories saying that there are signs of fatigue.
You know, it's absolutely insane, especially after going through 4 years of a Joe Biden presidency where that man's biggest fears were President Donald Trump and a flight of stairs. And we want to sit here and pretend as if Donald Trump is losing his faculties. It is absolutely insane. But what's incredible about this story is the media can't quite figure out which narrative they want to push. Is this a man who has too much energy or a man who has not enough? Because just yesterday I read a story from Axios, where they said that President Trump was unwell because he tweeted 100 times between the hours of 12 and 5 a.m. Now, I got to tell you, I was asleep during that time. So if this president can stay up and speak about the issues that are going on in America and across the world with the vitality that he does, the energy that he does, then I think that he's going to be A-okay. And I think many people see that every time they see this president go up to the podium, go up to a mic and speak to the issues that are on the minds of the American people.
Well said. Well, here is Donald Trump speaking to the media today.
But you always find something new, like, is he in good health? Biden was great, but is Trump in good health? I sit here, I do 4 news conferences a day. I ask questions from very intelligent lunatics, you people. I give the right answers. There's never a scandal. There's never a problem. I give you answers that solve your little problems. You go back and you can't find anything, but you do stories about Biden was in wonderful health. The guy didn't do a news conference for 8 months. If I go one day, I had one day where I didn't do a news conference, there's something wrong with the president.
He is right. I mean, he will hold long press conferences, will bring camera operators and reporters into cabinet meetings for hours, give so much access, and it's not enough.
It's never enough for these people, and nothing will ever be enough for these people because they have their pre-baked narratives that they're looking to perpetuate about this president, that somehow he is not rising to the occasion, that he's not the strong commander-in-chief that we know him to be. But the American people see through it because we know him and we know his leadership and we know the results that he's brought about. We would not be in the place that we are in the world, we would not be in the place that we are as a country right now without his leadership, which is all in all the time. And so, to be quite frank, all of this entire, hoopla about is the president okay? Is he doing well? He's doing more than well. He's doing exceptional.
Well said. Now, on to another story. The Department of Homeland Security has revealed an illegal immigrant allegedly responsible for a fatal crash that killed 2 people in Oregon was given a commercial driver's license by California, of course, which is under Governor Gavin Newsom. Now, the agency also said that the illegal was led into the country and given work authorization by the Biden administration. But CJ, this continues a spate of several high-profile accidents involving, illegals that were issued driver's licenses by sanctuary states. Just a few months ago in August, an illegal immigrant driving a semi-truck made an illegal U-turn in Florida, which resulted in people being killed. Can I get your reaction to this?
It's incredibly troubling, and I hope that the families of these victims will sue, folks like Governor Gavin Newsom and others responsible for everything that they're worth because they deserve justice and they deserve reprieve. All of these people, let's be quite frank, need to be deported from this country. It's exactly why when people say, oh, we just need to target criminal illegal aliens, I roll my eyes because breaking into this country, invading this country is a crime within itself. And so you've already committed a crime. You're already a criminal illegal alien in my eyes, in the eyes of the American people. So let's send you back from where you came. Simple as that. And so when I look at Gavin Newsom saying he's going to run for president, I don't think the families of these victims will be all that eager to support his candidacy anytime soon.
CJ Pearson, RNC Youth Advisory Council co-chair, thank you so much for joining us.
Good to see you, my friend.
Okay, that's one on the Sky News. I got 3 more 4-minute ones. Or 2-minute ones. This one's 2 minutes.
Older millennial with Joe. And I held off on saying anything on this subject because I didn't want to just pop off in rage. But you know what? I am mad. And I got something to say about it because what I see on this app is absolutely vile. Some of you guys are out here celebrating on this person's pain like it's a damn reality show. Why? Because he spits straight facts and makes you uncomfortable? Because he tells the ugly truth that you don't want to admit? Let me give you a little reality check. Do you honestly think the war ends when they come home? No. Some of these men and women come home in one piece on the outside, but they're shredded on the inside. They're haunted. They're tormented. They're numb. And what do they reach for to quiet it all? Alcohol, pills, anything to silence the nightmares and the guilt. 42% of veterans will struggle with alcohol in their lifetime. 65% of those in treatment say booze is their number one enemy. And yet here you all are, mocking these people's demons like it's content, like it's funny. Let me get personal. My husband is a Marine Corps veteran. He drank hard after losing his friends overseas. It was the only thing that would numb the pain. Just recently, one of his brothers, another Marine, took his own life. And my husband told me that day when it happened, the only thing he wanted to do was to pop that bottle, but he didn't. And he is now 1 month sober. But let me tell you, that in itself is a battle. So when I see keyboard warriors gloating, mocking, judging veterans, you're the problem. You have no freaking clue what it's like to sit there and hold someone shaking from PTSD, to watch them flinch every time there's fireworks, to find them sitting in silence with tears that they won't explain. So don't you dare sit there on your little phone and laugh at someone else's breakdown. We need to be doing better by them. Not for likes, not for clout, because these men and women gave us everything. And they're sitting here suffering in silence while the whole country is sitting back and just scrolling. So before you start getting on here and tearing someone down, maybe ask yourself, what have I done for a veteran today?
Okay, that was another important one from our TikTok lady. All right, our Minnesota lady. Oh, great. Buffering. God dang it. Okay, that one. I'll do this one. Three minutes.
United States. Donald Trump held a press conference during which he blew up the entire British Empire constructed post-World War II system. Along with Elon Musk, Donald Trump Jr., and other members of his team, Trump is challenging the very economic and political structures of imperialism, which is the real name for globalism. I'm Susan Kokinda, and that's what I'll be talking about in this January 8th midweek update. Let's start with the countries which are in the immediate crosshairs of Trump and Musk, namely Britain, Canada, and Greenland. What do they have in common? They're ruled by monarchies. Think about it. It's the 21st century, for God's sake. It's almost 250 years since we Americans overthrew King George III and showed the world that sovereignty must rest in a nation and in its people, not in some ruler anointed by oligarchs and powerful financial interests. So let's start with Britain. On Sunday, Musk put out a post asking if America should liberate the people of Britain from their tyrannical government. At least 2 million votes, and the vote is 58% to 42%, 58% in favor. Now, as far as that government of Britain, let's not forget that members of Keir Starmer's Labour Party were all over the United States during the 2024 election, campaigning for Kamala Harris and lobbying Congress to impose draconian British-style censorship on the United States. Then there's Canada. Justin Trudeau has just resigned by the force of Trump's pending policy revolution. Now, here's a very important fact that many people don't know. The sovereign in Canada is the British monarch, in this case, King Charles. Now, Trudeau was brought down by Trump, but he could have been removed by the stroke of a pen by King Charles. Charles has been one of the chief organizers globally of the entire Green Agenda, and his father, the late Prince Philip, was infamous for the following quote: "Human population growth is probably the greatest long-term threat to survival. If it is not voluntarily controlled, it will involuntarily be controlled by the increase in disease, hunger, and war. In the event that I am reincarnated, I would like to return as a deadly virus to contribute something to solving overpopulation." Prince Philip told that to People magazine in 1981. So Donald Trump is not wrong when he says Canada would be better off as the 51st state.
Okay, that lady and another lady. So we got three ladies that does 3-minute news updates. So we got quite a variety of on TikTok. So I'm going to end it with this one.
In a matter of one generation.
3 minutes.
And I was watching a lot of videos that are coming up on my For You page where people are saying, how come Somalis have nice cars and we don't? We've been here like how many generations? We were born here, our ancestors are from here, but Somalis drive nice cars. This whole thing is just making me realize is jealousy. They're jealous of our success because they expect us like to be at the bottom of the bottom. Right. And then we come here one generation, we work hard, we save our money. And Somalis are not the only community that committed fraud. Okay. We're not all committing fraud. Okay. Every community has bad apples, but they're trying to use that as leverage to hate on us, right? And attack our community. But what it is like when you're an immigrant group and you're Black on top of that and you're African, they hate you to be successful. They hate you to be successful. Now, if we were like European immigrants, like maybe Bosnians who are Muslims, or Russians,
this is a
and
new one, I think.
Nobody would blink an eye because they're white.
All right, so let me, because now I see Somalis starting to run in the Victim Olympics and they're blaming racism. This has nothing to do with racism, right? They want to deport Venezuelans if they're here illegally. They want to deport Guatemalans if they're here illegally. Asian people are getting deported. Africans are getting deported. And it's the same when it comes to illegal migrants with Somalis. The ignorance in this is so profound because I've never in my life, not one day, have ever heard anybody, and I travel all over. I've never heard an American, not a Black person, not an American, not a white person, anybody. I've never heard them say that they're jealous of a Somali. I've never seen them say that they're checking for y'all cars or anything like that. Here's the truth. Americans are bothered by the idea that American taxpayer dollars are being leveraged in order to give other people that is not pouring into the United States of America's culture and finances and resources and improving what's happening here, but they're trying to subvert the culture in order to be Somalia while at the same time taking advantage of our infrastructure, the dedication, the motivation, everything that we've built here in the United States of America, we built with our hard-earned blood, sweat, and tears. And then you come in, disrespect us, and then at the same time take advantage of what it is that we've afforded for Americans, legal citizens.
Okay, that was it. That was a 3-minute one. Okay. So yeah, the people that was late coming in, I thinking I saw how close I am monetized that I only need 800. So Papa Tid, you know how long 800 hours would take to get to? Hopefully it won't take long. But I'm gonna do shows. Chico! Oh great. Dog in the hallway. But I'm gonna do okay, I hope if I did 2 shows this week, hopefully by Monday or Sunday. But 2 hours piece, so 5 to 7 tonight. Thanks, Kay, for putting the links in, and Craig, welcome, and Chad. That's my dog Chico. He barks a lot. So everyone have a good afternoon, and we'll see you back at 5 o'clock. Stay safe, stay strong, keep the faith. Never give up. Signing off, Chico Nude. Yep, that's a good one, Papa Do. Yep, free speech. All right, we'll see you at 5. Busted buddy, Chico Nude. All right. Settle down.